So I'd like to welcome everybody to the I Just Think Different podcast. Once again, I Just Think Different podcast. I am your host, James, and I'd like to thank you all for coming on, being a part of this experience. And this is episode seven. Episode seven. So today we're talking about raising a child while father is incarcerated. So we got four women here that's going to talk about that situation and rechange their lives out here. So how is everybody? Everybody
Great.
good?
Good. Good.
Everybody good. That's real good.
I'm
That's good to hear. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and kick this thing off and ask the first question here. And I'll just start by asking everybody, how many children do you have? Brenda, we gonna start with you, and then we go Heather, Angela, then True.
Hi, how's everyone doing? I got a 15-year-old and a 12-year-old, a boy and a girl.
Cool. Heather.
Okay, between the two of us, we are a blended family. We have 8. We have all boys, and they're 20, 19, 13, 10, 9. And then we have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, little girl, and then a 1-year-old.
Yeah, you got two handfuls over there. Grow all ages, for real, for real. That's awesome. Angela?
Well, I have four, but the two of my kids that father was incarcerated. It's two of them.
Okay. And True?
To I have my youngest son to be two, and my oldest birthday. He's third dad. Than he's ever met his dad, and yeah, so I have 2 sons.
Awesome. All right. So the first question I got here is, what did you feel when your father's child was going to prison? Brenda, we're gonna start with you.
Well, what can I say? I've been in another relationship for 13 years now already, so really I just didn't feel no type of way because he's never been in the kid's life since I left him for, it's been 13 years. He's been in and out of jail. He recently just went to jail and he got, some time. But I honestly didn't feel no type of way or anything that would hurt me, or I told the kids, I explained it to them, and they were just like, oh, okay. He's just been in and out of their life, father. And like I said, I didn't feel no type of way or anything.
Yeah. All right, Heather.
When I found out that we were going through this for probably about a year before he actually got sentenced. So when I first found out about the whole ordeal, I was mad. I was feeling all sorts of things. I was mad, I was sad, I was scared, had no clue what was really going on until it was a huge secret until I found out. So there was a part of me that was very mad and felt like betrayed. And then once he got sentenced, I was kind of relieved because we actually had a date. We had a date where, okay, we can start this and we can keep going. Eventually we can be done with this. So there was a part of me once he was sentenced that kind of went, okay, I can breathe. I have dates about when he's going to get out.
Yeah. Okay, True.
I mean, we were not on terms, and when final sentence, and this is that's never really actually can. She got years, you know, and I don't know how to feel. It's like affected me, but at that time, how this affect me? How this affect me?
I'm sorry, True. Seems that you having a little bit of connection issues on your side, and you breaking up in and out, and it's kind of unclear of hearing what you're saying. Um, are you on a Wi-Fi connection?
No, through my phone.
I'm sorry. Can you say that again?
Owner, I have like service at my house. I'm sorry. I don't have good connection like in my area.
Oh, okay. All right, Angela.
For me, I didn't. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. For me, I did not feel anything. And this is the reason why I did not, because he was my ex-husband. So we had already been through so much. And before he got locked up, we were divorced for 2 years. So when I found out, I was surprised, but I didn't feel no type of way. I mean, that's something I would not wish death or prison on nobody. But at that point, I just felt like it was like a breath of fresh air for me. But I felt bad for my kids.
Hmm. So let me ask, what were these fathers going to jail for?
Well, my kid's father, so this is what they said. So he was on the news, and it kind of it was like I said, the whole ordeal just really surprised me. So they said that him and somebody else, which they didn't catch the other two guys, had went in a older man apartment. I think he had just got surgery or whatever, and they were trying to get some pills and money, and they tried to rob him at gunpoint, and then they beat him. He was an old man. They beat him with a gun supposedly, and the son, I guess they tied him up, and then the son wound up getting away. This is what they're saying. So this is what he went to jail for.
So he went to jail for a
Right.
breaking in and assault. But then
And
nobody died
yeah,
in the
and
situation. He didn't kill anybody or anything like that.
no.
So how long is he supposed to be? Well, yeah, you
So
mentioned earlier that he just got came.
he actually no, he this was 7 years ago. So he just literally got out in May. He just got released in May, but he let me see. How much? Okay, so he for this to be his first offense, they tried to give him life, which is crazy to me. Um, but they didn't, and this is what I was told by his other kid's mother, that they gave him a plea. He didn't take the plea because he felt like he was innocent. So they were going to give him 1 year, but because he did not take the plea, they gave him 7 years.
Mm, wow, that's crazy. So you say you was married 2 years prior to this.
I would know. I was married. Yeah, I was two. So we were already divorced 3 years in before he
Oh,
got locked up.
oh, okay. So during that time that you was married, like how effective was he in the kids' lives?
He was active. He was but he wasn't as active as I would want him to be. But um, it was just a lot. I guess because we were going through a divorce and a separation, and because I was with him ever since I was 16, it was more so a tug of war with the kids. So it's like, let's
Yeah.
play the kids against get you, like to basically like play one aside for the kids, like play the, what sometimes parents do. They take the kid and they try to play him against the parent, or they try to take control of the situation. So it was like a lot of that. Like if he didn't get his way, he didn't want to be bothered. If he got his way, I dealt with a lot of that. But he loved his daughters. It's just that he wanted what he wanted. He just played the game because they were young, so they didn't understand. They want daddy. So he got him when he felt like it. He got him when he didn't. Um, but like I said, majority of the time he was consistent, but it was a lot of tug of war on my end. It was a lot of prayer for me to get him where he
Yeah.
needed to be, rather as a father. So yeah.
Definitely. Man, that's an experience there. So Heather, I'm gonna go ahead and ask you the same thing. How much time and um how was he before going to jail?
I'm gonna unmute me. Um, my husband has been amazing as far as a devoted dad and like involved dad, and I couldn't ask for anything better. I think that's why it was so shocking to realize that he was going to jail 4 days after I had my son, is when we found out. And so I was like, what? Like, a huge shock to me. He has 36 months. He's in intake right now. And he did something when he was young, and like he told my kids, and he basically sat my kids down, and he's the one who told them, because I wasn't going to tell him. It wasn't. And he told my 5-year-old, he's like, Daddy did something when he was young, and he was dumb, and he was foolish, and he wasn't thinking with his head, and he was hormonal, and just not. He was young. It was 12 or 20 years ago. Things that
Yeah.
you do, and you're like, now you look at it, and you grow up, and you're like, what in the heck did I do that for? So,
Right. Man.
yep.
So you say he
I
got three
can't
to
ask for
six?
anything better. He's totally involved. 3 years, 36 months.
Okay, so 3 years. And he'd be out when?
Mm-hmm. 2023, right now.
Oh, so this happened. So he really got three. So
It's,
this is the
he got
crunch
3
time.
years.
This is the time where you're going through and seeing how you're able to make it without him being present. But see, the thing is, like, you're married, and you know you already got the kids. He explained to the kids, and now you gotta sit back and wait the 3 years and say, okay, this is daddy's learning experience. So from daddy learning this, hey,
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to walk the same path as daddy just walked. Daddy's setting an
Amen
example.
on that one.
Don't do
Completely.
like daddy. You see what I'm
Yes.
saying? And
Don't
you
be
being
like daddy. And
strong.
also, I want to see the actions. I
Yeah.
want to see actions. Like, my whole thing is, if you're in there, don't be sitting there. You need to be up and learning, doing your recovery, but also helping other people in there to go help them to where the next generation this doesn't happen, but also to help other people. The reason why you're in there is to help other people.
Mm.
Do your recovery, but also I want you to be a better member when you come out back in the community, where you're going to actually give back to people that are still in there. So I want to see action. My whole thing is about action.
Yeah, you
Walk
say
the
forget all
walk.
that talking. Like, you come out, hey, hit the ground running, and hey,
Mm-hmm.
get back to being daddy now. You all right? All right, Brenda,
Yep.
go ahead.
Yep.
Well, my situation is kind of like Angela's situation. I mean, the same thing with the father, like I said, 12, 13 years with my partner now. This just happened too. He's been in there 4 months, 5 months. He just got sentenced for a felon possession of a gun. So, I just always repeatedly, talked to him since I left him, hey, you need to change. You need to change better for the kids. You have a boy and my girl, well, I can teach my girl, what about my boy? But, Like I said, I got with my partner since my son was 9 months. So basically he knows the stepdad, dad, he's always been there. And their father, they got the same dad. I mean, I just in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out of their life, in and out. He would, before he got locked up, he would come pick him up and take him as he wanted. I would never say no. Only sometimes I would, because I would feel like it would not be safe, for my kids to be around him or the partner he was with. A lot of times, yes, because of the partner he was with. But other than that, I've never refused the kids. I've never bashed them to the kids. I've never said nothing bad. They know what dad went to jail for. I explained to them, like, hey, don't be like your dad. Things happen, of course, yeah, but don't follow your parents' footsteps. You always want to be better than your parents, especially the one that has more mess ups than the other one.
Yeah. So
And
you saying this is his first time going, you saying?
his second time.
And how long was he in the first time?
I want to say about a year or two.
So no real long time.
No, so no, not no long term. This is his longest term right now. I think, what is it, 2 to 3 years right now?
So 2 to 3 years in jail now. All right. So as you explained, he's in and out. He was in and out of the child's lives, and you've been with somebody else for 12, 13 years. How effective was that to your kids for their biological dad to be in and out their lives, but at the same time having man influence in house?
They have a really, really good male influence, a really, really good one. He, like I said, I never denied the kids to him. His mom's been a big help too. He's, like I said, in and out. His mom's been a big help. His mom's been there basically for the kids. And, my boyfriend, husband, whatever you want to call him now, he's been there for them. My daughter was 3 and my son was 11 months. So, and he's always treated my kids like they're his own, like I've treated his kids. He has 5 kids. So altogether we have 7.
Okay. That's a good, healthy family.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can't, like I said, I never bashed the dad to the kids. I never said nothing bad. They know as they grow, they see it.
Right. Okay, True. I'm coming to you, asking you, how did you feel when your father's child was going to jail or prison? Uh, you there? It's kind of froze. All right. So I'll go to my next question. What is the relationship with the child's father? And Brenda, I'll keep it going with you.
I really don't have a relationship with him. He calls for the kids. Other than that, we don't talk about the kids. We don't talk about, anything. It's not bad, and it's not bad. I just don't talk to him.
Okay. Angela?
So mine is a whole process. So I could just tell you that before, when he first got locked up, when he first got locked up, we was into it the day before. So I already kind of knew like something was wrong. And so that's when one of his sisters wound up calling me, telling me he was in prison, but I didn't think he was gonna go that long. But what I did was, just the things that we had been through, I went through a process with the Lord, of forgiving him for everything he done, because at the end of the day, it didn't matter. I started thinking that my kids was gonna be absent of a father, regardless of how I felt about him. They were gonna be absent of their dad. And like I said, he was in and out, but at the end of the day, to them, it's my daddy. And so we talk. We, like I said, I don't know, because sometimes when they're in jail, they have their ups and downs. They have their different days. So they mad, they upset. So we had to communicate, because when he went in, my children were in elementary. So I had to communicate with him. It wasn't no, oh, just get my kids, because they didn't understand, and they was happy, daddy on the phone, because they so young, they don't understand. So they just, like I said, one of my daughters was in first grade, and I think the other one was in second grade, and so right now they're 15 and 17. But at the time they were little kids, so our relationship was back and forth, until, and I would pray with them, still talk to him, because at the end of the day, like I said, I've been knowing this person since I was 16 years old. And I had basically had to release the things and get closure of all the things that we've been through. So we began to establish a relationship as friends and parents. And that's when, he wanted to get back with me, but I told him, no, we can only be friends. So like I said, we would call, I would pray for him. We were okay. And then till now, like as time went on, I had been by myself for a long time. And so now the relationship that we have today, like he got released. He got released this year of May. Like I said, we have talked, we have prayed, but when I got engaged and he know that I was getting married, the whole relationship kind of did. He was like, "Oh, congratulations, I'm happy for you," but then it wound up turning into something different. And so now, like I said, so he got out. My thing is, I've always taught my daughters from when they were younger, growing up. I tell them, and I'm big with this. I said, God never told you. He said, honor your mother and father. He didn't tell you if they make mistakes, you don't love them. And so I taught them to love them along the way, regardless of what he did. That's your daddy. I don't care. You're gonna respect them. I don't care what he do. And so that's how they grew up. So they never had like oh, I don't like my daddy. He ain't take care of me. They didn't have that. But as they start getting older, and it's a time when, especially when girls, they need their dad. But I had my father in place, like she said, support. So I had my father. I have all brothers. I'm the only girl. So he helped me take care of his grandkids. My dad helped me. And so when he got out, it's like a bittersweet thing, because, well, I just fast forward. I started to because we used to get into it all the time, so I would never let my kids go. I'm like, I'm not driving that far. The person acting like this, I'm not going that far and wasting my money. So when he got closer, I would try to take the girls, and at this point they're older, but they didn't want to go, and I had to keep explaining to them, Mom, we don't want to see him like that. We don't want to go in no place like that. And so I took him. For me, taking him, it broke like a chain, like a bridge in our relationship, because we were able to communicate. The communication was just so much different because we were able to see each other, because it was close to him getting out. And like I said, he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be a father. I'm gonna do what he's supposed to do." So when he got out, the girls, they was mad at this point, because they're getting older. They got upset, and they said, "I don't want to see him." And I'm like, "No, just try." I'm letting them know, because at this point, of course he hurt. He been away from his kids for 7 years. And I'm like, just try. I know it's hard, but just try, because you don't know how it's gonna be. I'm still being that parent that's trying to keep things together. Because at the end of the day, like I said, that's their daddy. And like she said, I never have bashed them. I never made them feel some type of way. I let them know that this your daddy. No matter what he did to me, I know he gonna love y'all. So he, I think they had went with him and his lady friend or whatever for like 2 weeks. My daughter didn't want to go. It's supposed to be one day. She wound up staying the whole week. Oh, I want to stay with Daddy. We really missed him. Like, for you wouldn't think teenagers would be like this, because some would be angry. They wasn't angry. They were so excited to see him. So for times, the times was going on, and so he got upset at me because he asked a question, because I know he just got out of prison. He been in there 7 years. He wanted to get on his feet. And so he asked me, could I take him off of child support? And I told him, I said, I don't know about that because at this point, you just got out. It's only been 4 months. I need to see consistency because I'm not the only person that had these kids. But he looked at it. You're married. You got everything going. You know, you and your husband. So why can't you? And because I didn't give him an answer right away, with me, him, and his girls, he literally on the phone, he talked to them about it. And I'm like, that's none of their business. So when he talked about it to them, he literally said, if you can't take me out of child support, I don't want y'all can dismiss me out your life completely. And that's how it went. So I haven't talked to him.
Wait a minute.
So
You telling me right now he came out and was like, yo, you don't take me off child support. I don't want to be in my child's lives at all, let alone you. I don't want to be in my child's lives
he
basically because you not taking me off child support, but the kids are almost grown to the point where they almost 18 and can make their own choices and decisions. But in the process of that, when he got out, they went to go kick it with him for a week and they had fun. They enjoyed being around their dad because as you spoke, women need their dad. Like they want to be around their dad. It's a personal connection between a daughter and a father. You see what I'm saying? And some of that time they felt like maybe they was getting back at that time. So from that, he says, you know what, since you're not releasing me, I'm going to release myself from y'all. How did that make you feel?
to them right in front of that. You know what? So at that point, like you said, they need their dad. My husband, excellent. And he stepped in. And I only been married to him for a year, and he stepped in and became a father. But it's not their father. So in their mind, like they're yearning for their dad. So when they got that, they were just like I said, happy. And so the conversation we had, I felt that he should have kept it between us. That that has nothing to do with the kids because these are your daughters. They love you. They're excited. They're willing to give you a chance when they wasn't going to give you a chance because of me. I said, give it a chance, because they was. And I actually encouraged him even before because he was like, oh my God, I'm nervous. I haven't done this a long time. Do you think they'll feel? I said, no, you got this. Just be a daddy. And for him to get on, like literally on my daughter's FaceTime and my two kids to hear that, it broke me in a kind of way because my daughter was so upset. It was like she just broke out crying. Like I should never even try. Like I shouldn't even, like, mom, like I should never try. Like she was hurt because I'm like, did he really say that? Like I'm like really in shock at that point because it's like, and I'm telling them at this point, I'm like, I'm done. Y'all can talk to him. However, if he call y'all, that's on y'all. But I gotta get out of this because it's gonna take my peace and my mental status. And I'm very, when it comes to self, I'm very like cautious about what comes in my space when it comes to my peace. And so it was taking me somewhere. And let me tell you, I'm like really not quick to get angry because I'll pray, but I got angry. Because people say no, I got angry. I was angry to the point I'm like, wait a minute, I can act crazy on everybody at this point. But I didn't. I was upset. I talked to my husband. I just kept. I'm like, I'm really upset because at the end of the day, regardless, these kids ain't asked for this, and these kids was willing when it's some kids that ain't willing. You know, it's some kids that's not willing to forgive and understand and love you through all your faults, and you gonna do them like that. So that bothered me.
Yeah, definitely. I could see how that I definitely could see how that could be effective. Which is a segue right into the next question I got is, how do you think this affected you? And obviously, that situation affected you greatly to the point where you just disconnected from him totally. And it put the kids in a situation where they were broken back again after already being put back together, shattered once again. And now they have to make a decision on their own. Do I want to go actually be with dad? When it's a father in the house, but I want my dad. You're dealing with that. You gotta bounce back and forth between that. So even though it may be a stand-up person in the house, no one can really replace that personal connection between daughter and father. So I definitely could vibe with that and see that that's very effective. Brenda, I'm gonna ask you.
It didn't affect me. None of this affected me, I guess, because of the way he used to treat me as well. You know, everything that I was put through with, he put me through. So after I honestly, to be honest with you guys, I'm gonna be real honest. I didn't care and I don't care. I care
Do
for
you
my
think
kids.
that you don't care as much as because you've been in a relationship for 12, 13 years? Yeah. So you
Yes, yes, and
so you got
yes,
another covering.
yeah,
You got a
because
replacement for that, for your emotions not to have to care because somebody replaced that. You see what I'm saying?
true, true. But even before that, you know, before when I left, because I did leave him, you know, it was so much going on between me and him. I had to leave him, and even that little couple of weeks of me not being with somebody is just like, I don't care. You did me wrong. This is what you did. You wanted to do that, and I'll go ahead and do it, and just let me go about my way. So then, like you said, once I got in the relationship, now that I've had him, you know, it's just like I have somebody to lean on, to talk to, you know, my problems. And like I only care for the
So
kids.
so here's a question. You stated that your son was how many months or how old?
He was 11
So he
months.
was 11 months. So
11
he
months.
wasn't even a year old. So let me ask you this: before your child even got a year old, what was the urgency to get in a relationship with another person before structuring a lane for your kids to raise them in as a single mom or in a family structure environment? What was it that said, you know what, like I have to be involved with somebody or I gotta get somebody? Or did it just happen organically? You just ran into somebody and was just like, oh, it worked.
Basically, I ran into somebody that I work with, and from then, you know, we were like, oh, it works. And we just ended up staying together. And now 12 years, you know, it's long.
Yeah. Okay, Heather, I'm asking you, so how does it affect you as a wife, and
Um, I have a hard problem with trust. I had a hard problem with trust before, but I have a huge problem now with trusting people on the outside. Now I'm just like kind of like I look at people and I'm like, okay, I found out this secret. What else are people? What else are people hiding? You know, my husband's amazing, and it's hard to trust people now. I'm very, 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 very like guarded with my kids. Um, so that's the trust in our relationship is
mm,
broken. So that's going to take a long time to redo that, but also the forgiveness. I'm trying to forgive and trying to just look at the positive things and say, okay, God's brought me through this. Where is He going to bring us? And have faith and just kind of go, okay, where do we go from
wait a
here?
minute, sir, you're saying that
Just
even though
restoring
you
everything.
married and this is your husband and he's been your husband for a while, he get caught up in something that he did in the past to go in currently with. He's in there for 3 years, and now you're saying trust is broken in a situation to where when he comes back out and he's ready to step back into society, you're looking at him like, I need you to prove something. I need you to show me that, you know, like you're really in this. And so his problem is going to be, how can I show you that I'm ready for something when
Mhm.
you don't give me the opportunity, or you don't believe what I got going on? Like I set up, I did my time, I did what I was supposed to do. What I did was in the past, and now I'm trying to show you currently that I'm here. Like where's the problem come from when actually trusting somebody? Like why is it so hard to trust, do you feel?
Um, I feel like I gave all the trust. I told him every single thing about me, every single red flag, everything that I've like going into this. I wasn't even looking for a partner when I was looking for him. I thought when I first met him that I was going to scare him away. I asked him like 1,000 questions when I first met him. So I wasn't really, and it didn't scare him away. So I was always black and white and to the point. I told him everything. So when he didn't tell me everything, it totally it broke me. it broke every single part of me. So what I'm saying is, when he's out and there, I'm also trying to rebuild myself, going, okay, there is red flags, because there's a barrier of trust where, okay, I need to heal from the brokenness of trust while he's in there, and that's what I'm trying to do. And so I'm trying to work on myself while he works on his self.
So in the process of you being felt broken, when you in this relationship, at what point do you feel someone should lay everything on the line? And me trying to get out what I need to get out may be difficult for you to understand or comprehend. So I'll take it and say, you know what? I'm going to reserve that, and I'm going to use the proper time to get that out. But in the process of me getting that out, it came out, and now it looked like I'm a fraud, when really I didn't lie about it. I just wasn't upfront in telling you about it. And sometimes I feel like people don't tell people things up front, because it's almost like a selfish thing. Because if you don't tell somebody something up front, you kind of reserving it to say, if I do tell them that, then they go leave me. So it's a fear. It's a fear of being left
That's what I'm
alone in
saying.
whatever connection that we got.
That's why I think he told us later on. That's why he told me, goes, that's why I didn't tell you, is because I knew for a fact the type of woman you were, you would run. You would have ran as ran to me. So what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to say, okay, when you're doing your recovery time, I need to recover with the Bible and the Lord and with the faith, and have God heal me, and allow me to heal from trust and the broken hardness. While you're in there, I need also to heal out here, so that when we do come back together, but we have two healed people working on trying to put it back together while we're back, when he gets
You guys
out.
you guys could be equally yoked when he comes back out.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And actually, we're gonna redo our vows when he comes back out, is what we're talking about.
Oh, see, that's awesome. So the next question was, were you financially stable to take care of your child or kids at the time of, this situation?
Is that for me?
No, but yes.
No.
I was working. I had a job. I had like I said, his mom helped me a lot too when we first split up. And then getting into that relationship, he's just been there. It wasn't long until I got another relationship. Yeah. And he, physically, financially, mentally, all of that's been there for all three of us.
Do you think it would have been a lot
and my two
different
kids.
if you didn't have an instant relationship right after the fact?
I can't say yes or no, because I've never been by myself. So I don't know what it is to be by yourself and take care of your kids by yourself. You get what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Maybe I would struggle. Yeah. I mean, yeah. If I didn't have nobody else and I was working at McDonald's at the time.
Yeah. So do you feel like, because that person was going to jail, did you feel like it was a necessary need to kind of find somebody so, they can help out what was going on? Because you might have had a fear of being by yourself and taking care of two kids by yourself, especially not even a 1-year-old?
No. I wasn't scared. And like I said, with me being with him, he's been in jail these past 12, 13 years that I've been with my man. So I don't know what it is, to be by myself and not take care of the kids by myself. I've always had somebody help me. And I wasn't with him when he was in jail or none of that.
Okay. All right, Heather, I'm gonna swing it to you.
You mean that when I found out, or when he actually was sentenced? Which part of it? Like when I found out? Like,
yeah, when you found out.
Because when I found out, I was 4 days after having a baby. When I found out, it was 4 days after having a baby. I was coming home from the NICU, or coming out of recovery from a C-section. So I
Mm.
was emotionally wrecked. I was not in a good state, I don't think. Financially stable. I was financially stable, but it was not like it was not a good time in my life at all. I think I went into a big depression just because of when you find out something like that, you're like, I just had a baby. What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to do this? And thank God for my community and my family or his family that lived by me. That's probably what got me through it.
So you was financially
Was
stable,
family
but at
God.
that point, you wasn't mentally stable. You was broken
I
down
don't think I was
mentally.
mentally. I don't think I was broken down mentally. I just had a baby. The baby was in the NICU, and I had 2 babies to come home and take care of, plus this 18-year-old that lived with me at the time that was in the senior year. So he came home to take care of the kids, and they basically said, "You're not coming back home." And I had to come home from a C-section right after a C-section and take care of 2 kids, which, as a mom, as everybody else knows, you do whatever you need to do, even if the doctors tell you shouldn't do it. It's one of these things where, well, I have to come home. I have to take care of my kids. So I came home and took care of kids, and the rest of the summer, we went from half of the time in Bend and half of the time in Burns, going from back from the NICU for my baby. So when I was taking my 2-year-old, and my 4-year-old at the time, to Ronald McDonald's house, that was an amazing place. So we were
Sleeping.
in and out of doctors. Yep.
So how do you think that affected your 18-year-old at the time? Did they
Oh,
step
my
up?
18-year-old completely. I felt so sorry for him. They stepped up, but also he was heartbroken. He didn't know what to do. As soon as he saw that the police came and took my husband, to him, it's kind of like what the other women said. My husband to my 2 older kids, was dad.
Mm.
Even though they had a dad, which we always respected their dad. My husband was there for them. My husband did things with them. They did stuff with them every single day. They were best friends. And so it kind of, I think, from a man's perspective, since he was a senior year, it was like, oh my God, who's here for me? How am I supposed to do this? How am I supposed to? It scared the heck out of him as a kid. And my older 2 kids have suffered a lot from this whole thing. That's, as a mom, like the other ones have said, it's hard to see your babies hurt. It hurts you as a mom.
Yeah, I definitely could see that. I'm not a parent, but I definitely can empathize with that pain of trying to get my kids in a right mindset to even wrap their head around what's going on, because that's not easy whenever a situation like that happens and you're a little bit older and older person really trying to wrap their head around it, because you like, man, you grown, and I'm older, so like, how could you
Mm-hmm.
make a mistake and do something like that? And at the end of the day, a child is like, how can you do my mom like that? You did mom dirty.
Mm-hmm.
Now since you doing mom dirty, I gotta do you dirty and
Mm-hmm.
just say, the heck with you. And that's never healthy on either end. It's never good on
That's
both
probably
sides.
what
But
happened.
yeah. But the good thing about all of that is God will see you through, and he will fix all wounds that you're suffering through. And that's a fact. Because I can tell you believe in that.
Mm-hmm.
So you definitely gonna be healed and fixed from that. Angela?
That and little kids. I'm praying to the kids that basically our kids can actually learn that they can see that through a marriage, the good and the bad. And that's what I'm trying to teach them, is that this is the bad. A commitment, it's a commitment. And our choice is to stay with that commitment.
When he comes home, that's gonna be the tale of the tape. And when him coming home, the issue he's gonna have to face the most is, again, like you mentioned, that consistency. The problem is anytime he slides away from that, it's not gonna look good. So he definitely has to stay prayed up and deep rooted in faith to be able to come home and understand his blessing and just, be a stand up guy to the house, and reclaim position as a man and really hold it down and show apology by action, not words. It's just going to be about what you do and how active you are around the house and in everyone's lives. And then that could be a tough thing, but it's all worth it at the end of the day because that's just what you signed up for. And it's never fair to put somebody in an uncomfortable position because nobody asked for that. We don't ask for that. But unfortunately, things happen. So, again, you just got to man up and, you got to take hold of the reins and, man, take the household back over, Angela.
Okay, so for me, when it comes to financial, when we were married, actually, I worked two jobs and went to school. So I mean, it was like that money really, the money part at the time wasn't the big issue because I know I could hold it down. I don't know. I don't know because my father raised me by himself. I had an independent. I'm very independent, and so um, when that happened in the beginning, like I said, when he went, I was in my undergrad at that time, so I had it's like a something that just clicked. You got to do what you got to do. Like she said, mother thing. Like you got to handle any means. I got to do what I got to do. So I continue to work. I always worked part time though when I was married. So at this time, it's like I got to work full time, part time, go to school. So I went to school full time, had a full time job, had another part time job. My daddy helped support me. I was literally working midnights, doing homework with my kids, cooking, cleaning. I'm talking about doing it all. Grace to God, because today's day I'm like, how did I do all that? And so when I got in my clinical part of my degree, it didn't. That's when it hit me because I no longer worked two jobs. I had like literally, I had to quit both was one of my jobs. So the job that was making the money, I had to leave it alone just so I can. So at this time, I'm making sacrifices. I can't afford to make the sacrifice, but I did make the sacrifice. So this whole like probably about 6 months into my clinicals, um, it was like my kids would go in the store. I'm telling you, I'm taking care of them by myself. So like I said, with my dad help, and just when I say my dad is awesome, like literally, and I would go. Sometimes my kids would go in the store. I couldn't bath for them. I was getting irritated because I've never had been through that, but I had to sacrifice because I had to finish school. So I just felt like in the midst of that, if their dad was present, there would have it wouldn't have to be such like I wouldn't have at that time because I had to go. It was a period of time I had to go back and stay with my dad because I couldn't do it no more on my own like that because like I said I was in school. Now if I wasn't in school on top of working like that, I wouldn't have had to go live with him. But he was telling me to focus on school at that time. It really grew me up to another on a spiritual level with the Lord because I depended on Him for everything at that point. So, and when I say my rent was $800 at this point, and I made $800. And kid you not, for those 2 years, I got when I say God, nothing but God every month was helping me, but it was just hurting me because I couldn't get, had to keep telling my kids, mommy can't do this. And you'll be surprised, like for me, they wouldn't even give me assistance. So like it was crazy. I'm like, I don't even make nothing. They ain't even trying to give me no assistance. But at that point, I didn't even want none of that anymore. So when I say I got by, I got by. But for me, it really financially like on his family side, I got nothing. So his family, my kids don't even know his family for real. So um it did something for me because I feel like if he was present and he was doing what he's supposed to do because he wasn't in no streets or whatever, before, I wouldn't have had to go through that type of struggle when it came to my kids, and they would have had everything they need if he was present. You see what I'm saying? I mean, I could have made sure they did it. I could have, of course, still do make a way for them. But it's certain things that he could have helped with that they would have kind of maneuvered through and not remember that struggle for real.
Yeah. One thing that you did have was the hand of God over you because two things here. Even though their physical dad was going locked away, your physical dad came through and helped you, and then the dad up top came through and helped it all and bring it all together. Now you mentioned that your rent was $800 and you was only making $800, so it didn't even matter your rent situation. It didn't matter no situation that you had because God came through and blessed that whole entire situation to the point where you had your personal dad to lean on. So it goes back to that daughter father situation. You got a good connection with your dad, so you was able to lean on that. And fortunately, your dad was able to hold you down in that same situation. Not only did he hold you down, but he also took care of his grandkids. You see what I'm saying? So that's a blessing all within itself because you had that situation to lean on. A lot of people don't really have that backing and they just really out there, hustling, trying to get it the way they can. And you also mentioned that you try to get food stamps. So yeah, you took the route of trying to hold yourself down and get a extra little backing. But at the same time, you was denied that. Why was you denied that? Because that wasn't necessary because you already had a covering over you, which was already taking care of everything. So that was an unnecessary need that, that you didn't need. Like you already had the best need. God didn't have you wanting for anything. You had everything right at your service. So that's definitely a real blessing. And I can see how, you know, the work that you put in showed itself. Now, had you been sitting there talking, woe was me, who knows how things would have turned out. But it worked out in your favor because you was active and you didn't take no for an answer. You say, you know what? I have to get out here and provide for my children with no excuse. And you didn't make one. Even though everything was coming against you, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
People don't know the full story of anything. They don't know what you feel like when them lights cut off. They don't know what you feel like when you sitting there laying in your bed on your side and tears is rolling down your cheek, and when you go out in the world, how you function, how it is to be present in the world when you got this stress over your shoulder of, look, I got other stuff going on. I got kids to take care of, you feel me? And then to still come out of that, man, hey, you a walking blessing, so glory to God on that for
And
sure.
I was gonna add too, like when my daughters got, I think one was in the fifth, one in the sixth. Somebody told me that God was gonna send me help, and He literally did that. And so one, which is my best friends now, but they're pastors, but they came along, and this man, their God dad, which they call their God dad, it basically like he literally came in, him and his wife, and just started like literally. It was like such a flow and a connection where they started helping me. Like to this day, my kids call him mom and dad too, because they came in, he helped, and my kids start calling him dad. So in their mind, they say they're God dad, but they look at him as a dad because when, like I said, they were in sixth grade, fifth grade, and he stepped in like he was their dad, and I allow him and his wife to help because I do feel like it takes a village to raise kids. And I'm like, Lord, I need some help. This is a lot. And for him to give me not only, and I wasn't selfish, like, my kids would call them mom. They like, Mom, I've never been intimidated. So they say, Mom, you don't even care if we call her mom, because no, because I feel as if like we're all in this together. And for them to step in and help and love my kids just as if they had them, that was like a total blessing to me. I'm like, God, this is like unreal. Like, because that don't happen all the time. So I like this whole journey of me even doing this. It was great. I was like literally grateful, just grateful.
Wow. Yeah, that's powerful right there. Definitely believing in God is definitely the way to go because you giving the true testimony right there. You said you ain't have no outlet. You ain't had nowhere to go. you had your parent to fall back on. But at the same time, if you fall back on your parent, you also said somebody came to you, said, you know what? Your God gonna send you somebody. You like, man, I don't know about that, man. I got too much going on right now. And boom, here goes somebody that got sent. You like, oh, wait a minute. No, that's for real. Like God really came through and hooked me up. I can't deny that. He came through and made a way. And now, hey, we sitting here having this conversation and you sitting at home blessed, you know. So things never are as bad as they seem or as bad as they look. Every situation could be changed for the greater. It's just about how we think about it. You know, you just got to think different on things and have a positive outlook, no matter how bad that it seems, because, you know, it's not easy um, when the world is crashing down on you. But one thing is factual is that the world is going to happen. Your path and lane is already laid out. So, you know, regardless of what the world do to you, what you can do is react positively to the world instead of negatively to the world. But it's so easy to fall to the negative side. Heather, like you said, you lost that trust, you know, but it's that trust that you lost, you also gain that, you know, love in God. And while you got that, um, He's gonna bless you and take care of things. You know, I know it's kind of hard to forgive and forget. Me personally, myself, I forgive and forget instantly because, you know, God say, hey, when the sun go down, hey, it better be gone. Better drop that and move on to next because you didn't have to wake up today. You know, you didn't have to get this 24. You know, since I'm blessed with this 24, then I might as well go ahead and make the best out of my 24 instead of arguing about something that happened 24 hours ago. I can't do nothing about yesterday. I can't do nothing about tomorrow because it's not here. All I got is this 24. So while I'm in it, why not just do the best thing possible and not let whatever is bothering me soak into my system and just bring me down? But that's a hard thing to do. It really takes a strong power mindset and deep rooted faith to remove yourself from those type of situations because it's so easy to fall into that trap. Like the enemy is definitely right there, boom, 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 all the time, tapping you. Hey, hey, hey. You know, you ain't got no food. You know this bill due. You know this person trying to talk to you still. Hey, you know you still got personal needs. Hey, all this stuff is still coming at you, and while you trying to ground yourself and level yourself out, again, the world is still happening, but you have to understand that while the world is happening to you, you are a strong figure in it. And the reason these things are happening to you because you're so strong and powerful. If you wasn't strong and powerful, then these things wouldn't be happening to you. You see what I'm saying? You just be, you know, riding high. You know, they say all the time, you know, it's not easy through life and who want the easy route is what they saying. You know, if you want to work towards something, you got to put the work in. You know, that's what they saying. Nothing is really handed to you. So if the whole game was handed to you, would you, you know, take it? Or would you like, nah, I want something. If I gave each one of y'all you know, $100,000 right now, like, would you take it or say, no, I don't know, there's something behind that, you know? Like, I kind of want to work for my 100,000 just a little bit, but 100,000 sound good. And, you know, you be like, no, forget that. Give me that 100,000. I need that, man. We got some things going on over here. So moving forward, like how do you move forward? You know what I mean? Like how is it you know, regaining Heather, I'm gonna start with you on this one. How is it regaining that mental stability back? You know, how is it gaining just the structure of a household without that male being present and you having to be the male and the female in the situation to, you know, to grow and develop the kids that you're raising?
I think for me, it has to do with having the community support around you, for one. But before the day even starts, I think a lot of times you need to have the scripture in you. Like, you have to learn and actually, like, I'll have that actually, at least for my life. My day goes better if I actually have spend time with God, or if I do things with God throughout the day, or I talk to God. But basically, it's all about spending time with Him. Um, but a lot of it has to do with, like one of the gals said, was allowing people to help you out. So it takes a community to help raise a kid. So having godly people around you to help with your children is a starter, since he's not home. And I think it's going to the scripture and saying, okay, what does God say above everything? What does God say? Does God say forgive? God says forgive 7? No, 77 times 7. So it's basically telling yourself, hey, this is what God said to do. We need to do it and move on, like you just said.
Yeah.
And when it
Definitely.
comes back and it sits there and says, well, remember this happened, remember this happened, remember he did this or he did this, it's going back and saying, no, I forgave him.
Right. Because we got to remember, we do things too.
So it's really thinking about yourself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And not to judge other people, because, and that's another problem, is that a lot of people, especially in a smaller town like I live in, people tend to judge people. And I'm like, okay, but what have you done? You know, it's like one of these things where it's like, yeah, people have done things, but a lot of people that are pointing the fingers, they don't look at the actual what they've done in their life.
Yeah.
So right after this happened, he came out on the news, or he came out in the newspaper, and some of the things people said was just horrible. And it was just like, do you realize that this is somebody's child, or this is somebody's husband, or
Yeah.
somebody, you know?
Yeah.
So I think what
The
this whole thing has done for
judgmental,
me is it taught me to forget, not to judge a lot of people, or
yeah, that
go to
tends to
that
happen.
person and ask them, okay, what happened?
Right. Brenda, I know you got to get out of here soon,
So that's
so
what
I'm
I
gonna go
tell
ahead and
people.
ask
And
you
like, if you want something,
how you move forward, Brenda.
I just moved on.
It seems like your transition
It
was
just,
fairly easy because you had
it
that backing
was.
of another man instantly right there. So it was like you never really felt anything really because you still had another man structure in your life. So it wasn't like um eh,
It
yeah.
wasn't like had to, and of all the things that he
So
did,
let me ask you
it's
this.
just
Did you
like,
did you heal?
yeah.
You felt that you took the time necessary to heal? Like, did you really deal with the situation, or did you allow the current situation that you in overlap and dismiss the situation that you came out of? Okay.
I healed. I just moved on. Like, I just didn't care. I
Yeah.
didn't care from being
Ah,
hurt so
from being
many
hurt so many
times.
times.
Hurt,
So the
being
past
hurt so
did
many
hurt you
times.
a lot. Yeah. So with
Yeah.
that past, how long were you with him before, the situation happened?
It was about 12 to
Oh
14
man, hold
years since
on.
high school on and off. I've only
Yeah.
been in
So
2
you
serious
got a
relationships.
12, 13 here and then in another 12, 13. So between
Yes,
that first 12,
yes.
13.
I just really didn't have,
Mm.
I didn't have no time, literally
Oh,
no
so let me
time
ask you
to
this.
where, to say what it is to be, like I said, to be a single mother and see what it was to have 2 kids by myself and take
So
care
you
of them. I
said
never had that
you didn't have that time. So how did you have that time to heal when you got in another relationship?
because I didn't
So the
care
next
no more.
relationship was
I
more so
didn't
like a
care.
rescue because all the negative stuff that you was getting from the first one is gone. Like you don't have to deal with it anymore because you're getting, full support.
And also, and well, to go back, it was like I was already split up from him, from the kid's father, because I went to go live with my aunt for a couple of months and stuff. So I did let him go for a couple of months until, but once again, the mother would help me.
His
What
mother or
he
your mother?
do, she would do.
Okay. So So
No,
even
his
though he
mother,
wasn't there
the
physically,
kid's
see, a
father.
part of his family was a sense where that he's somewhat kind of present, but not really. You see what I'm saying? So his people were still giving you backing because they could have actually turned their back on you and left you by yourself, but see, they didn't. So the question for you
Yes.
is: do you feel like you wish you would have gave yourself time?
Yeah, I say
Yeah.
yeah.
See.
I
Yeah.
think I should have. I think I should have. But then again, I think I shouldn't have because who I found is just great. Like I thank God that he put him in my path all these years to help. I mean, it's a lot of males out here that will take a female with kids. But like they say, who would take a male with kids, especially being that young?
Yeah.
My kids being 3 and 11 months, 11 months on top
Yeah.
of that.
That's intense. That's an intense situation.
He he wasn't potty trained. He nothing. Like it was all mom. Mom would cry for mine. I had to be at work by
So
5 o'clock in the morning, and he just cry and cry. And he stepped up, potty trained.
so let me ask you this:
Helped
how
me
old
a
were
lot with
you
him.
when you had your first child?
Uh, 20, and about 2 weeks I had her, and then I turned 21. So I was 20. 2 weeks before I
So
turned
you was a
21.
20-year-old. So at 20 years old, you going into being a legal adult at 21. You're able to physically, legally go into the bars and the clubs and to go play around. You know, um, those couple years before that, just hitting 18, getting into that adulthood, you was with your baby's father, correct?
Yes.
Now, during those times of going through high school, going through those little them times, what type of stuff was happening to you where you felt that you couldn't leave and then you felt uh good enough to actually try to make a kid?
I met him here in Michigan, and I left in 1990. In 2000, we left back in Texas, and that's who I was talking to before we left to Texas. Went to Texas in 2000, like I said, graduated from there, and for some reason, it was just him all the time since before I left. I came back when I graduated in 2004, and that's who I went back to. So it wasn't like the kid was, it just happened. The kid just happened. I didn't know I was.
What made you go back to something that you had already, you know
To be honest, I don't even know. He was there.
do you feel like you was just lonely in that situation or just looking for some love?
No, I was young. I was 18. I wasn't. It was just that he was there when I came back to Michigan in 2014. I didn't talk to nobody else but him. So it's like we were still talking, when I went to Texas, basically. And then when I came back, I lived with my aunt, my uncle, and that's just who was there
Yeah. Okay.
for me to start talking to.
So what was the influence for you to keep this communication open to keep talking to him if it was a lot of trauma involved?
I I don't even know.
Hmm.
I don't even know.
And do you think not knowing and not understanding your own personal emotions and just getting involved with something because it was there, do you think that played a role in affect your kids in any format?
No, they were young.
Yeah.
They were young. They didn't know what really was going on between me and their father.
Are you young too though?
Yeah, I'm 35. Yeah, at that time I was young, and they were. I just I don't
15
know.
years ago.
A long time ago, long time ago. What made me go back? I don't know. I mean, I don't regret my kids. I regret a lot of other things, but I don't regret my kids.
Yeah.
If I can go back and like I tell my kids to this day, if I can listen to my mom to what she used to tell me, I would.
And what was that?
watch who you have kids by. Go to school, get a good education, get you a house, get everything to yourself. Don't depend on a man.
And how much of that did you follow?
Half of it, not a lot. But if I could go back in time and listen to it all, I would. I would do everything she tell me to do.
Yeah.
Which I'm not, I'm in a good place right now. Like, I'm a good mother. I have a career going for myself. I go to work every day. My kids know that I can provide for them. I'm here for them. And they have a role model that's been here for so many years.
Mm-hmm.
So my kids know who is who and who is not, who's going to be there, who's not going to be there, who's been there and who hasn't been there. You don't have to like I said earlier, and like Angela as well, you don't have to down talk your father. They know.
What significant role have you played in developing your kids to walk differently than you?
Showing them that even though you're out of high school or middle school or elementary, you can still continue school to be a better person. Such as I went to, Mom, why are you going back to school? Because you gotta, even though I'm out of school, I gotta continue to show you guys that you can go farther in life. You just don't stop when you graduate in high school. You got a whole life ahead of you. If you finish 4 years, you can go to college another 4 years.
Right. Just keep learning.
Just keep learning.
Never
And
stop
just keep
learning.
going.
That's very important.
You got to be better than your parents.
It's
always.
8 years today that I graduated from the Los Angeles Recording School. So, that's
it's just, it's hard having kids and the father not being there. But when you have a good role model, I think that's good as well.
Right. That's very important to have a role model. But how important is it for the physical parent to be a role model? Because that's who a kid look after first.
I think it's important, but it's up to the father. It's very important. Like Angela said, my son, like I said, 11 months with him, his dad in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. So he's to the point to where like, hi, Dad.
Yeah.
Bye, Dad.
Definitely.
And he gets mad because they do that. Well, I didn't do that. You did that to them.
Yeah.
I didn't say, oh, don't talk to your dad. No, you did it. You call once in March and then don't call back till June or July.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell him. My daughter, 15 years old, in and out as well. And now that he wanted to be more in their life before he got locked up, all they would ask him is like, hey, Dad, can you come pick me up? Hey, Dad, I need some money. Hey, Dad, can you come pick me up? Hey, Dad, I need some money. So he would get upset because they wouldn't call him and be like, can I spend some time with you? No, it was always, can I have? Well, hey, what do you want them to do when you weren't there? They just want now. They just want it. Give it to me. Now they're demanding it.
Yeah, it's very important for a child to have time with their parent. That's probably the most single important thing that a parent can produce for their child is the actual physical time, because all the other stuff is material. Because truth be told, you could be a millionaire, you can go to work and have millions of dollars and go into that job and they shut the whole corporation down, remove all the money from your bank account.
Yeah.
And you still got to have those kids and provide for those kids. You know what I'm saying? So it's not even about the finance. It's just about that physical structure that you build with your kids. And I think a lot of that sometimes get overlooked because we as adults kind of fall into what we was told and we kind of go our own route and use our own stubbornness to try to, make excuses for our kids and what we do for our kids. I'm saying we, like, I got kids, but I've you got a lot of nieces and nephews.
A lot of nieces and nephews.
Yeah, so yeah, a lot of nieces, nephews, and cousins, and so forth on. But my whole thing is on parenting is, like I said, you just want to be there for your kids at all time and also be truthful and honest, because my mom was definitely that with me. She definitely always was straight legit. And I'm be so upfront to say, if me and my mom got into an argument at 9 o'clock, okay, by 9:30, she was on to something else. Hey, all right, what was we talking about? She's not holding no grudge or nothing like that. I wasn't the type of kid that had to be on the punishment or, have things like that. My mom's not here anymore. She passed away in 2007, but while the time she was here, man, she would call, my mom would call me and just had the craziest conversations. You would feel like it was a best friend situation, but you understood that she was also my mom. My mom would call me and talk about anything, man. And that's why one of the things I really appreciate about her is she never um kept anything from me, at all. So, I could very, very much appreciate that. And when I have kids, I'm definitely going to be 100% on them on time and structure and just showing them that, you know, adults make mistakes, humans make mistakes, but it's about how you overcome them and how you get back up and move forward so you don't make the same mistake, because we all gonna make mistakes. It's just about how we change those and provide a more positive example for people to follow. And the only way to do that is to lead by example, by action, not by words, by action. You always have to lead by action. A lot of people talk, but you have to be, consistent in that act. Definitely. So, Angela,
Especially with teenagers, now that these teenagers are teenagers.
oh, it's definitely a different time in this.
Especially like Angela, two girls, and I have one girl. It's these girls just you have to, It's a different generation, and that's what these fathers don't understand, that it's a whole new different generation. When you're locked up and then you come out, it's different. It's not the same.
Mm,
They
it,
think about the time when they got locked up in 1994. You're coming out in 2021 now. You're not in
yeah,
1994,
it's
You're in
not the same at all.
2021. It's not no baggy clothes. It's not none of that. It's time to come out, get a job, and take care of your kids.
It definitely is time for that. But my thing is, since you mentioned the daughters and you are a mom, um, like I was asking, what type of structure and leadership do you show a daughter from going into situations? You said yourself that you haven't been without a man pretty much your whole life. Like you probably only had not even a whole year and not even 2 years worth of being single by yourself. So an example that a daughter would see for that is your mom always has somebody. So they may think like I need to have somebody, and that's not always factually true. You know what I'm saying? It's
And
always like, you gotta hold yourself down and make sure you're right for someone. Just don't be jumping around. As you did admit, you wish you did give yourself a little time, even though you are blessed with who you with.
right.
Like you needed some like mental time for yourself to say, I mean, what does Brenda want to do?
And I tell her that as well, her being 15, I tell her you don't always depend on a man, you have to do for yourself. I say you see me and Pat, we've been together for so long. He's taking care of me, he's taking care of you, but you don't always depend on a man. You always have your own. That's why I tell her, you don't see me, I want the best for you. That's why I show you that I'm with one person and I don't need you jumping from man to man to man to man.
Right.
You
That's
know,
a
I that's
that's a
my
true
thing right there.
statement.
Like I tell her, you don't see me on these streets or doing all this. I'm being here with you, going to work, coming home, you know, dealing with you guys. So she understands, she says, Mom, I see you, you've been in a long relationship and you show me a lot. Just like yesterday she did, she was just like, well, you and Pat have a good relationship. And I really like that. So she, I think I'm teaching her right for her not to have her father and him as well being there.
Yeah. Hey, you gotta get whoever that is some water, man. Get past some H2O, man. You over there, you know. got the whole podcast, coughing over here, man. The whole wave, man. Yeah. So Angela, I'm gonna go to you. I'm gonna say, what would what would you change about the decisions you made, with your kids, Oh, you gotta unmute.
Okay. I wouldn't change no. Wait, elaborate that again for me.
Oh yeah.
You saying what would I change the situation?
Yeah, what would you change about the decisions that you made with your kids? You see what I'm saying? Do you feel like
Hold on
you
before y'all go forward. I do got to get off of here because I got to be back to work tonight. So
okay?
nice meeting y'all. Good conversations.
Yes.
I wish you guys the best. And Heather, you stay up with your kids.
Yes.
And I hope, you don't lose trust on him. And you guys, talk about it and work it out.
All right,
Hmm.
thank you, Brenda,
All
for
right,
coming on.
Angela, you have a good
Anyway,
one.
you
James,
too.
see you guys later. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.
All right. So there is three. All right, yeah, Angela. So like I was saying, what do you think you would change about the decisions you made with your kids? Like, do you feel like you could have you know, had your kids more involved with the dad while he was locked down, or you think you could have pressed it a little bit more? Like, no, we're gonna take you in here and talk to your dad. I'm gonna make sure you have a relationship with them, or do you feel like you could have been like, you know what? Don't mess with him. But you couldn't do that because you've already told them, like, regardless of what he do, that's your dad. So you got to honor and respect your dad. So it's like, what do you do?
I would not change nothing. And reason why I say that is because I did all I could do. Even as an ex-wife, a wife, I've done everything I'm supposed to do. But sometimes you could do what you all you can do, and it still may not be good unless that person want to change for themselves. So for my daughters, like I said, I have raised them up. They've been raised in the church. They've been raised to God. Now, what I would have what I would have done different for myself and what I've learned throughout this time, when I got a divorce, I was by myself, but then I caught myself getting in a relationship. But I had to break that off. Well, actually, I'm gonna tell you, it was a joke to me. So after my kid's father, everything was a joke. So I'm like, I ain't taking nobody serious. Like she said, trust. I'm like, I don't trust nobody. After this, I was broken. So it was like I didn't take like people out. Like she said, I was looking at everybody cockheaded and crazy, and I just didn't trust nobody because I had been really broken and didn't want to get married again. I was just on that road, like, oh, okay, I'll talk to you, but I just don't want to be with you for real. And so, like I said, I had a boyfriend like for 2 years, and then I'm like, I just wanted to. I literally, like I said, the voice of the Lord said it was time for me to be by myself. Like that's not, and so I went on a journey of being by myself. But my daughters seen that. They seen me be by myself, but I never let nobody come in and out their life. I was so big, ain't nobody about to meet my kids. Like I don't care if I talk to you or not. And so I've raised them as much as I know how to be grounded, not only to depend on me, but if you can't get all the answers that you need from me, that you go to God. Because at the end of the day, that's your father. He knows you better than me. And so and if they teach a child the way they should go and they shouldn't depart, all my thing is to instruct them, give them the tools they need so they can live the best life that they can. But I also teach them this, and I'm very stern on this. I get that your father was not present the whole way through your life. I'm talking about the important part. But don't use that as no crutch to being who you can be. That don't even like if you get to say, oh, I'm like this because I ain't had no daddy. I don't let that fly because you can be greater. Like I told them, you can be even greater than I am. And I teach them that because that's a big thing. I tell my daughters all the time. You can say what you want to say. You can be. It's okay to be hurt. It's okay that I can't even because I had my dad. I can't even imagine what they are going like. I didn't have my mother present as strong, but she was there. I wasn't completely absent of a parent. So for me to tell them, like, I don't know, and it hurts me because I didn't have my daddy. So, but what I tell him is, even though my mom didn't raise me, me going through this life, I didn't say, well, I'm like this because my mama wasn't around, or I'm this way because, this all I know. No, that's not how you got to keep going. And like I said, no, you don't ignore the hurt. You don't, that just it don't go away overnight. People think you just supposed to say, oh, I'm hurting it. No, it's a process. Everything to me is a process. And so with them, I teach them it's okay to hurt. It's to be okay to cry. Scream it out, cry it out. But you got to keep it moving. And so for me, and one thing that Brenda had said, like, I was not, like, when he even went to move forward, that was, that, and it was something because she was on there. It was easy for me to move forward. It was easy for me because I wasn't with her, right? It's easy when you don't see a person. It's so easy. And when I say you can pick up the phone, but you can't talk to me long. So if you get to arguing, it's gonna hang up anyway in a couple of minutes. So that's how it was with the kid's father. So it's gonna hang up. We're not gonna be on these. So I can't stay mad at you long because I might not hear from you for a couple of days, and then if I hear from you, hey, we back talking like ain't nothing happened. But when you have to, and it sounds like she didn't, but when you have to face that thing, when I never thought that this would have, because even my husband, like, dang, like how did the relationship end? And I told him, like, we were divorced, everything was, but he's been absent to me, like non-exist, even though you talk on the phone, but it's like non-exist for so long, to the point where when you see a person, it's like, now I gotta face reality again. So now I gotta face this. I gotta face the situation. I gotta face what it really is. And this is reality. I gotta see this person because they're connected to my kids. But when they were gone, I didn't have to do that. It was easy to do that. It was easy to not pick up the phone. You can't come over my house. Like, you get mad at me. Look, I might not see you for another year. You don't have to pick up the phone. So moving forward in that way was easy. That's an easy thing to do, that because anybody, we can do that. But to face it head on, to say, wait a minute, I gotta really be a parent with this person again. Mentally, for 7 years, that's a big thing because you've been that parent for so long. So my moving forward without the parent, or no reach or no contact, very easy. But the person coming back in your life, and now you got to really deal. You got to really now. And for me, I'm good because I'm married. Like she said, I moved. I'm done. But for my kids, it's still present because now they know my father's out there. He's out there regardless. So he's in hand reach when before he wasn't.
Yeah. That's a strong statement there. What I'm picking up on is, as long as somebody gone, you ain't got to deal with them. As long as they're out your life, you ain't got to deal with them. But if they keep reaching, trying to get in, trying to tap you, then it's something that go off in you that say, man, it's a irritation, it's a touch, it's a pull, it's all of that put together. You know what I'm saying? Because now you gotta rebuild a relationship on something that was gone. And now you gotta rebuild feelings on something that you told yourself, yo, I'm gonna let this go. I ain't gonna worry about none of this. And all of a sudden these things are back. So it's like, what am I supposed to do with this? This stuff is back now. And I don't really want it to be back. But
Not the
he's the
feelings
father,
though.
so he got to be back. You see what I'm saying? So it's like you got to come back. But now it's like I don't care if you here,
Yeah,
but you just got to focus on your kids. It ain't got nothing to do with me. This is
yeah,
all your kids now at this point.
yeah. But there's
So
feelings that, like I said, the feelings that you, like myself personally, had faded away, that's gone. I'm attached to some babies that I have learned to, and I have grown to take care of these past 7 years by myself. So it's like like Heather was when she said it's the hurt, like you can feel when your kids are hurt. And so I can feel that. So those feelings, so let me tell you what it does. Those feelings come back to the trauma you did to me. And so in my mind, I say, you're not gonna do my kids the way you did me. Because at the end of the day, yeah, they your kids, but these are your daughters. These are teenagers. So they have, my daughters are 15 and 17, one about to be 18 next year. So in my mind, now this, you are going to plant a seed in their mind to think that this is okay for men to treat you like this. And so I have to get to the point where I get grounded to say, wait a minute, I need y'all to understand this is not. And so thank God that my husband came along literally the time when he was getting released, because now my kids is able to see how a man's supposed to treat, even though they see my dad, but it's nothing like, okay, that's my daddy, of course, that's my daddy. But for another man to step in to love me, and they really see what love is, then their godmother and God has allowed them to be around healthy relationships because they seen brokenness, but they also can understand what togetherness is and real love is, that they won't follow that same pattern. You see what I'm saying? So they understand what real man is, because if you never understand what real man is, it's hard for you to really get a good man, if you really don't, because you so used to toxic. So for
Mm.
me, I knew what a good man was. So that's why it was easy for me to let go of toxic like it wasn't, it was hard because I was with the person because I was young, but they say it's a light bulb click when you get a certain age. So when I was getting close to 25, it was like, this is crazy. I don't have to keep going through this. So for me, my daughters is a lifeline. They're the generation after me. So my thing is, you can't, I now when you said, I love when you said your mom, you and your mom had a relationship, she was real. Now 17, 18, then I can't. Now I got to get raw. And the reason why I got to get raw, I have to tell you the truth, because you got to know the truth now. Because one thing growing up, people hid so much stuff. So when we in generations don't understand the things we go through, whether it was grandma, granddad, we don't understand the attacks or the things that we go through. So I had to give it to my daughters. This is what I carry. This is what I dealt with. So I don't want you to deal with this. If you're in a relationship, I see what is coming before it comes, because I dealt with those things. Because I'm telling you, they teenagers, so they gotta go through it. They gotta deal with it. But what I told them, what us growing up was, it was like, don't do it. Don't say. I don't know about you guys, but my parents was like, don't do it. Don't say, you ain't none of your business. That's how it was. It was just like flat. They never really got, for me, they never got raw with it and like really told us. And so I'm like, I want to tell you something that if my parents would have told me, I probably wouldn't have been in this predicament.
Right.
And so with my daughters, I give it to them. Like, look, I don't want, I said, I know that's your dad, and I know you love your dad. And if you want to create a relationship when you turn 18, because we're done at this point, you can do it on your own. But what I'm gonna tell you is, it's not okay for a man to jump in and out your life, because if you start that with, you're gonna start that with the rest of the man, or the man that you come along that you like it. You're gonna think that this is acceptable, and it's not. You're gonna think that this is acceptable for a man to tell you that he done with you, just just off of just nothing, or talking to you, or mentally abusing you and all that. And so my a big thing was for me is, would they do that just because they're attached to me? Would somebody try to break them? So now I'm like a protector right now, a
Mm.
real protector.
So let me ask both of y'all then. Since you got the hot spot, Angela, what is your definition of a real man?
What's my definition of a real man?
Mm-hmm.
Man, my husband will laugh, because like I told you, my daddy took care of me. So if you tell me when it comes to we always say a real man, but yeah, I can't say a real man. I'm talking about a biblical man. But my daddy, me growing up, seeing my dad. Sometimes you could do that as a daddy's girl and stuff, compare a man to your father. But my dad took care of me and my two brothers by himself. So I've never seen my daddy not do nothing. Like I've seen my daddy from doing my hair to teaching me how to put on a maxi pad. My daddy taught me how to ride a bike, take me to the doctor's office. My daddy cooked, my daddy cleaned, my daddy fixed cars, my daddy fixed whole houses. I'm telling you, like I was like, whatever you want from my daddy, that's who he is. Like, and so for me, that's a real man. Like my daddy never walked away from us, no matter what. I probably took my daddy through, like I'm talking about, and he's not even just a real daddy. It's real parenting. I'm talking about a mother and father. No matter what I did or whether my right or my wrongs, he's still stuck in there. And that's what a real man is, saying that no matter what the cost is, I'm gonna be there. You know, and so that's what I've grown up to know. Whether you sad, whether like I said, I probably done made my daddy so mad. He like, I don't want to talk to you no more. But he never judged me. He never even made me feel like the choices he know that I made wrong. He never made me feel like I made them wrong. He just always taught me to move forward. So for me, even when it comes to a real man, like I so for me seeing that and my dad displaying that throughout my whole life, and me getting the opposite in the beginning, for everybody it was very surprising, but I believe you got to go through things for a reason. It was a test. It literally was God driven. I went through this, and God had something incredible out of this experience for me to, like she was saying, one thing I love what she said was to help. Sometimes you don't go through things for yourself. I got to help somebody else that can't get through what I'm getting through. So for me, it's that man that's just grounded, that's willing to take care of you any means necessary. And whether you're a father, whether you're a husband, um, no matter the ups, the downs, the bad, the good, I got your back. I got your back. And that stems from a father. And I'm telling you, this ain't just a father, it's a husband, father. And so when my daddy has displayed that, I look at those type of qualities in them and the spirit in them. I'm talking about their heart because it comes from within, that you have that where you're that protector. I always feel protected with my father. So with the man, I want to feel that. I want to protect it. If I fall to my weakest, is you still gonna be there. If I'm acting crazy, you gonna still be there. You know, that is what a man is, because like I said, with women, we emotional. One minute we this way, one next minute we that way. I don't know, but he was there, and that is really a definition of a man to me, that will never leave you. And it reminds me of my father that's in heaven. He said, I'll never leave you or forsake you. And and I felt like my natural father is literally, God gave me something close to him. And so
Yeah.
he gave me a husband that's close like him. So that's how I look at it like that. Yeah.
That's strong and powerful right there. So in other words, a real man to you is a man who never leaves and always held accountable for his own actions and stay there. Now you did say something. You said, um, you mentioned by any means. Now say
Mm-hmm.
those baby daddies was doing by any means. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. What you mean?
Their any
What you
means
mean?
was whatever they did. So does that make them
Mm-hmm.
not a real man because they felt in their mind they was doing by any means?
Okay. So let me explain this. You talking about being incarcerated?
Yeah.
Are you talking about that? Okay.
Any
So let
or
me tell
by any
you.
means, whatever any means is,
For,
it happened to be locked up, but by any means.
so so let me so no so let me I can account for this because not only my kid's father is in jail, but my favorite uncle that is like my brother who just passed away a year before I got married, which like I said that he was everything. My uncle been out my in and out of jail all my life, but he was a dad, right? But he was in the street, so that's all he knew, you know. So he was in and out of jail, so this is all he knew. For me, if that was still my spouse and that did happen to me, would I be mad? Absolutely. I would be upset. But I also know that I understand the system as well. And I'm gonna tell you, I don't agree with our system. Our system is terrible. It's corrupted. Some people get time that shouldn't even got time. Let me tell. I don't even want to get into that because I'll get into that. That's a whole nother subject. But but when it comes to when you say enemies, I have had friends that have had husband that was incarcerated because of something small that they did because they had their family. If I was with my kid's father at the time when he got incarcerated, honestly, I really don't think he would have done something like that. And he said he wasn't. But if he did, I would have stuck it in. And you know why? And I would have told my kids because like people make things happen. Okay, things happen. You don't know what mindset a person is in at the time, but I'm not gonna hold that against a person to say that they're a bad father because they've been to jail or they made the wrong decisions. The first thing I think about, how did you wind up? First of all, we got to also look at family dynamics. So I look at the family dynamics. What was your daddy like? What was your mama like? Because kids get stuff from somewhere, you know? So I don't, and it's men that's incarcerated that really love their kids and really love their family, and they really have made mistakes. That does not mean that they're a bad father because they got locked up. Like people make, they seem like that's the worst. Like I I think, I mean, I don't know other people's stories in there, but I think when it comes to taking care of a family and a person does something to take care of their family and they feel like as if this was the only way for them, that's them. And I'm not talking now, if you're going to jail a whole bunch of times and stuff like this, that's a whole nother story. Okay, you in there maybe four,
Yeah.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. I'm not even gonna vouch for that. But people that has been in there, one time, and then most of the times if they go back in there again, is because the system has failed them because they don't give them the proper resources so they can get out there and get what they need to do. So for me, for their dad, when he said that, it made me angry. But I literally had to go to my father, which you said is in heaven, and I had to realize, no, I'm not gonna take that away from his responsibilities. But and yes, he still needs to pay because those are his children, and it doesn't make him a bad father still because what he's going through, my kids may not understand because he wants to be a good father, but he doesn't know how because the first thing is going through his mind is survival mode. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm a little understanding versus another person. In his mind is survival mode. It ain't in my mind is you need to take care of these kids. But in his mind is I need to survive and you're not helping me to survive. And that's not my job because you need to be a man. But in the midst of it, that does not, like I said, for me, that's not what I have been displayed. I've been displayed as a man can get out there and do just as much as a woman. So if I can do it, you can do it. So on that end, when it comes to a father, now you have a choice. You're not being a father because you don't want to be a father.
Mm, yeah. That's deep. That's deep. And that's where a lot of pain comes from when people feel like they not wanted. When you feel like you're not wanted because you got the opportunity to hold me down and take care of me. So why aren't you? And especially when you can see that in other places. Like if you can see how your dad or mom is taking care of somebody else and they not holding you down. If your parents is constantly in the clubs or in the bars or always on social media or something like that, doing anything other than spending time with you, you would feel a way about it because it's like, how are you giving the world all this time and I'm right here? It makes you feel the way. You know what I'm saying? And you know, we gotta, like I said, we gotta get that time up. We got to get that time onto the kids and we got to have that greater sacrifice and to let what we feel or what we want go in order to better, our youth, because those are the ones that are coming behind us. Those are the ones who are making decisions in the world that are going to change our future, you know? So when we ground them in the right soil, they produce great fruit. And if we put them in bad soil, well, that speaks for itself. So Heather, I'm gonna ask you, what do you feel like, is a real man?
Man, I have to. That's kind of funny because I asked my husband this question when I first met him. I think truly, it's probably spiritual. The number one thing for me is it's completely unconditional love, but also like a spiritual. I want someone who's basically gonna adore God more than anything. So the way I look at almost like a thing, I look at it like here's God, then your husband, and then you, and then your kids, and then the rest of your family. So somebody that actually is completely going after God, but someone who has unconditional love, kind of like what you just said, where he sticks it out. No matter what you guys are going through, he's somewhere where basically it's a role model. You and him are a role model where basically you guys make the next generation, they get to see how you role model and how marriage actually looks. So somebody who basically is patient with your kids, and somebody who's actually there who doesn't judge your kids, but actually is there who actually says, hey, this is what I think. Or especially when we talked about teenagers is so different. It's almost like you're preparing them for the world, but it's a pull. It's kind of like giving them the reins. Like the way I think of raising kids is you give the kids reins, but then you pull back some, but then you give reins. Well, the older the kids get, the more that you can give the reins, but you're there to give advice. I still have kids, my older kids will call me up and ask me for advice. So it's being that role model and being somebody who actually is there and actually has the patience with the kids and is actually spending time with the kids and wants the best for your kids, that adores them, completely adores them. But the first thing that they do is they go after God. So they get grounded in God and their heart is in God first and foremost. And then they go and they want to be there. No matter what kind of day they're having, no matter what's going on in the family, they're there. They're not going anywhere. They're willing to talk about anything. Like to me, my husband can talk about anything to any one of our kids, about any single thing. And it's amazing because it's like, I've learned a lot of things just from him about how to, I think to be a better parent is myself. I think a lot of times you judge yourself and you look and you watch other people and you're like, oh, I can use that, and be willing to go to parenting classes, be willing to learn more, be willing to understand that, okay, I screwed up, and be able to go to your kids and say, hey, mom screwed up or dad screwed up today. Can you forgive me? It's the fact of we're not perfect, but that you'll learn and that you'll grow and that you can tell your kids anything and you guys have an open communication. That's what I think that's wrong with a lot of the kids nowadays, is they don't want to go to mom and dad because they're scared to death. So mom and dad are going to get me in trouble. I had a kid that came to me one time that said that he thought he got his parents, his one of my older sons came to us and said that he thought he got his girlfriend pregnant. And we were like, okay, because at that point why get mad at the child? You can't take it back. It's already done. I mean, you can't basically go crazy on them. You just got to deal with situations. And it's somebody who actually is a role model who will say, okay, during rough situations, let's look at this with the cup half full, not half empty.
Right.
If you can go into every single situation and go, guess what? This is what we're looking at. And actually look at it and go, guess God's never going to leave you or forsake you. That's another verse that I go through. That's like a daily verse for me. No matter what life's going on, and I tell my kids that all the time. For years, I've told my kids is different scriptures. Rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I say rejoice. I say that a lot of times too, because it's the fact of when you get these scriptures inside of you, it's the times when it's hard that you can actually say, okay, what does that mean to you? That means basically no matter what you're going through, God's there. He's not going to leave you. He's not going to forsake you. He's not going anywhere. He's your solid ground. He's where your rock is.
Mm. Yeah. So the approach you took was I feel like in true form, Angela pretty much was saying the same thing, but you just gotta have that guy first, man. You just gotta have that guy first and model after that. And when you model after that, um, you should make less mistakes. Not to say that you won't make any mistakes, but you should most definitely make less mistakes and think more consciously on the things that you are doing. Just because you are rooted in God don't mean you ain't gonna make mistakes. David was rooted in God too, and still, looked at another woman and messed with her and sent her husband out to war. So, people do crazy things, but at the same time, it's like he still understood and was still rooted in. So what I'm getting at is like, as humans, we all make mistakes. We understand that. Nobody's perfect around here, and everybody uses that. I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect. So, all right, we understand that. But the whole idea is to be, Christ-like. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's saying we are Jesus or we are God, but we trying to model something. When you modeling something, and you taking on characteristics of. So if I'm taking on a characteristic of something, that means, I'm trying to mold myself after that. So therefore, I'm not going to be doing, certain things that, cause, problems or cause bad situations to the people around me. See, one thing is when you make mistakes and you harm yourself, then it's cool. You got to learn from that. But when you make a mistake and you harm the people around you, then that becomes a problem because now other people are affected in this situation. 9 times out of 10, we making decisions and mistakes. They are affecting the ones around us. And then later on, we use the excuse to say, well, I was doing XYZ or XYZ happened, but we was never thinking about that all the way through. All we thinking is, I did what I wanted to do. And I feel like a real stand-up man, is going to be deep rooted like that and is going to make the best decisions for him and the ones around him. With that being said, people get on your nerves all the time. Here's an example. People get on your nerves all the time, and you may want to fight. You may want to see them gone. But we know that's a energy and mindset and that happens just at that time. But then when it really actually happens, I mean, is that what you really wanted? You see what I'm saying? You could have a dispute with your spouse and they leave the house and die. You feeling all sorts of messed up because you feel it's unresolved situation. You don't want that person to die, but you want that person to feel some sort of pain of what you're feeling just to get the point across to say, hey, I just wanted you to feel how I felt. I wanted you to understand how I was feeling, and when it comes to that, I feel like everybody's on the same page with that. Usually we just want people to understand how we feel. That's at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. It comes down to just everybody want to be understood and loved at, on that level of, I understand. And you don't necessarily have to say you understand, but the actions of it should show that, hey, I get it. I understand. I could never speak of a woman because I'm not a woman. So I can't tell y'all, how to be women or what it means to be a woman because I'm not one and it never will be. You know what I'm saying? So I can't fully speak on what that means to be one. You see what I'm saying? But what I can do is lead a positive example as a man to say, you know what? These are some things and values that, you should hold, going to audio engineering school. There's no right or wrong way to mix a song or mix anything. But they say there are rules and principles and guidelines you probably should follow. So there really ain't no right or wrong way to do it, but you kind of should kind of do it this way. So they're not really telling you should do it this way, but it's more than likely going to work out more in your favor if you do it this way. That's the same thing with life. Like the more positive things you do, the better your outcome. When you hang around negative people, negative things happen. When you hang around positive people, positive things happen. Also knowing that negative can happen while positive. Okay. You could be doing everything right. And boom, lightning might strike. And you're like, whoa, why did that happen? But you got to understand, life just happens. And so just because that happened doesn't mean, you was doing something wrong. Your life is just being tested and see how deep ground rooted you really are in what you believe in. And you said yourself, Heather, even though you are deep rooted in God and you pray a lot, you got word, but you even said yourself that you're sitting here struggling with trust. And God said forgive and forget, and move forward. But still personally as a human being, you like, man, yeah, I believe that, but you see what I'm saying? So even when we say we trust and we believe, like, how much do we really, how much 100% do we really put that faith in God to be like, you know what? You got me, you healed me up. I'm not even worrying about it. You know what I'm saying? Because I know it's a greater thing that's gonna come out of me for the people around me that's seeing. You see what I'm saying? And we miss that sometimes because our ego gets bruised. Our emotions get bruised. I was even guilty of it this week, running around looking like a fool on the internet, just reckless because, I felt like I wasn't getting the support that I wanted. But see, to my own ignorance, God already told me, don't worry about that. And see, now he done already told me something. Here I go on myself, still trying to want things personally. So now that backfires, and see, you should have already listened to what was already told to you. You said, don't worry about that. Who go come to you, go come to you. So you was already told, but see, you want to go out and get the people that you want when the the power in God is the people, let's say the people that I want to come, not coming, but now they do come. That's God bringing them over here because, when I tried to get you to come, you weren't messing. Now you over here. It ain't had nothing to do with me. I totally left it alone. Boom. Now you here. God did that. It ain't had nothing to do with me because now it's something over here that you got to get now. You got to see even your enemies will come help you out. But see, if you ignorant in your mind and dismissing them, you're going to miss the blessing that you were supposed to receive in that because you got your guard up so tough that you're not paying attention to the real signs of what's really going on in that situation. And, when you lock behind bars, I did 14 hours in jail. And I'll tell you that experience to me was a confused state of mind. Like the whole time I was in jail, couldn't believe that I'm sitting here in this jumpsuit with these orange Crocs on. And it's really, I'm really sitting in here and it's cold. I felt like it was about 50 degrees in there and nobody cared about anything. The attitudes that they give you while you in jail is reckless. Like you immediately treated like trash when you in there off top. Like, hey, you criminal, you did wrong, whatever. I'm paging the button, hitting the button, trying to get, hey, why can't I make a phone call? Like, what's going on? Hey, man, your number will be available in a couple hours, a couple minutes. Like, man, this is what's going on. Like, how long am I going to be on here? I don't know. No answer. Or you going to be in here until you talk to a judge. Okay, cool. I'm ready to talk to the judge. Let me talk to the judge. They take me out. Hey, go in there. I'm thinking I'm really about to talk to a judge. That ain't what happened. I talked to a judge on a computer screen that sit here and reading off a paper, just saying, hey, man, hey, your charge is XYZ, and that's it. I got, you ain't got no question. You ain't getting nothing. Go back to the cell, bro. I'm like, man, I thought I was gonna be able to, wheel and deal and try to say, hey, man, look, man, nah, none of that, bro. You in here, pay or stay. You know what I'm saying? And that's pretty much what it is. And it's an unfortunate situation, though I was wrong in a situation, I was wrong. Yeah, I speeded and I was, driving while intoxicated, but not driving at the time. So still, those are still my faults and my punishment and my judgment on that. You see what I'm saying? Now, had I not been doing that and I was driving the speed limit like I was supposed to, I wasn't drinking anything, and I got pulled over and took to jail. And that would be another situation because why am I even in here? See, sometimes you got to look at things of what were you doing before you got pulled over? What were you doing? You see what I'm saying? I was speeding. So obviously that attracted the police to me. Had I been doing the speed limit the whole time, who knows? It probably would have never got pulled over at all. But see, I triggered that by doing wrong. I wasn't doing what I was supposed to. And then I had to deal with them 14 hours on my own. Not only that, is that I learned a valuable lesson in that is to, you know what, you got to humble yourself at all times and realize that it ain't always about you. You know, and here I am drinking and rolling. Oh, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, I may be good. But, you know, what if I did smash somebody else and took somebody else's life? What if I did flip my vehicle over and cause an accident where somebody else, you know, was involved, you know? And I really don't like using if, because the biggest if in the world to me is if my parents never met, I wouldn't be here. So I really hate using the if, but there are those times in those situations you be like, man, what was I thinking about? Like, I probably shouldn't have did that. And that's what we're talking about now. These people are incarcerated and they got to sit down and think and say, man, why am I behind these bars right here? Like, what was I doing? Like, can I take that back? Should I have took that back? And what did I learn while I was in here? I personally want to go into jail myself, in prison myself, and sit down and chop it up with some people and see how that's like. But doing this COVID situation, that seems a little bit impossible at the time. But I definitely want to go in and talk and chop it up with some people just to see, you know, what type of structure is really going on in there. Because again, being in jail for those 14 hours, I see how you get dogged. So, I mean, how is it really? You know, like let's get the real view and the real actions of what's going on, and what do you plan on doing when you come back out? Like, what type of leading example are you going to put into the world when you come back out here? And it is a different world when you come back out, when you've been going for a long time. You think somebody going 7 to 10 years, you know, that's a long time. Like, you know, like I said, I've been graduated 8 years. You know how much technology has changed just in the 8 year time span? You know, this whole year has flew past and we don't know what the future holds for. Right now, it seems like the rest of our lives is going to be behind a mask. You see what I'm saying? There doesn't seem like no resolve to what's going on because numbers are just keep rising and spiking. People constantly going out, doing this, that, and the third. So, um, people lives are lost. You know, I've lost family members due to COVID, and that's not a cool thing. You know, it's a very unfortunate thing, an unfortunate situation. But I've also have, you know, traveled, you know, and been at rest stops and been in different states where people are wearing no mask at the pumps and doing different things. And here you know, I haven't had anything wrong with me. So I'm not trying to dismiss anything that happened, but I also know that my faith is strong, like strong, like almost got the attitude like a COVID would look me in the face and say, you know what, we can't even work with him. Let's go to the next man because, you know, we don't even want those problems, you know? And that's kind of the mindset you got to have towards anything that you do, you know? Like, you are the light. You know, you are the positive example in the room. You know what I'm saying? Y'all are strong mothers in this world who have kids to raise, and they look at you every day, and every step and every move that you make is being recorded in their brain. So now that when they get old enough to become on their own in the world, how are they going to react? When I was 18 years old, I was living in downtown Philadelphia, you know, as an 18-year-old, shortly after 9/11. You see what I'm saying? And at this time, me coming from Flint, Michigan, being in a downtown city, I'm everywhere. I don't have no car. I'm walking everywhere. There ain't nobody tell me stay at home, what to do, what, nothing. I'm just out here, you know? And that experience from myself also told me that, you know what, you was also in school and you didn't graduate. While you was there, you should have been reading your books. You should have been gaining more information and knowledge. But see, you want to be you and walk around the city and do whatever you want to do. Meanwhile, calling back home, hey man, can you send me some money? Hey, can I get $20, $40, $100? Hey, I need this. And you know, you 18 now. Why you don't go get you a job? That wasn't on my brain. to go get no job, and I probably should have had one. Like, hey, I get my own money now and doing my own thing. But now look, I'm here talking to y'all through a computer screen and the internet. We have come a long way from where we was at, and I can appreciate everything that I went through. I can appreciate the struggles that I went through on my own. I can appreciate living in my car sometimes, and uh matter of fact, I remember living in my car and the car was running all night. And I remember periodically waking up through the night looking, and I'm not touched. I'm leaving my car running full on the whole night. Like, I got a semi truck. I'm not touched. I'm not harmed. I look at that as a blessing because anybody could have rolled up on me, broke my glass, took me, snatched me, robbed me, did any of that stuff, and none of that stuff happened. So I look at that as a blessing and a covering. I also look at anytime somebody helped me as a blessing and a covering, because as human beings, we really are selfish. We really are. We really don't care about nothing unless it got something to do directly with us. So, with that being said, we don't have to do anything. Like, nobody has to do anything for you. So, when somebody does do something for me, I definitely look at that as a blessing because I know you didn't have to. You see what I'm saying? So, if I'm in a situation and somebody's paying for my food, vacation, stay, whatever, I look at it as a 100% blessing because that's something they did not have to do. So when they do it, I definitely feel like that's God operating in my life to say, you know what, that's my son right there. Take care of him. Make sure he's straight. Now the world may look at it as, man, you a mooch. How you a grown man have another grown man take care of you? But see, that's that energy that'll come against you and say, oh man, try to throw you off of that. But I can't allow that to stop me and bother me because, I can't allow that to cloud up my blessing that's before me. You see what I'm saying? And the learning experience that you get from that is really the true gift of giving. That's really something that just keeps going. We all have to give at all times with a willing heart, not just selfishly. Like, you know what, I really want to give. I really want to give some shoes away to subscribers and listeners, but the way about going to do it wasn't the appropriate way. If I really wanted to give some shoes away, then you know what, I can just randomly select somebody, say, hey man, what's your email and address, and let me drop them off to you. Have a good day. Like, it was nothing that had to be broadcast. You see what I'm saying? Like, that was just something ignorantly used. You see what I'm saying? Helping homeless people, is a thing that you can do. Donating your time to the community to serve your community, to help clean up your neighborhood. Go work at some soup kitchen just to donate some time. Go work at the YMCA, the YWCA, just to dedicate some time just to help people. That, like, we all can do that. Nothing stops us from doing that at all. That's something we can all do every day. You know what I'm saying? Like, what does it really cost you to really put in work to help the people around you? It don't cost nothing but your time, and time is what we all have, until God take us away. So why not use your time to help somebody else, even though you're going through something messed up? Because the blessing is helping somebody. The blessing is you pushing through while you're going through what you're going through, to be able to put that aside and say, you know what? I know my life is not looking good right now, but it could be worse. So I'm gonna go over here and try to help this person in any way I see fit and can. See, being a real servant is a real thing, and it's a real humbling experience to really release yourself from your own ways to actually go out and help another person. So there's people stuck in jail right now, but a lot of them are lost and forgotten because of whatever reason that they're in there. But we shouldn't forget about them either. You extend the olive branch and say, what can I do for you? Or, how is it in there? We don't know how it is to be stuck in a box. You see what I'm saying? It's hard enough to be stuck at home. Everybody been quarantined and don't nobody want to sit in the house. So what you think it is for somebody that's stuck in a jail or a prison? Whether they did right or wrong, because we all right and wrong at the same time every day. It's not like we wake up every day just doing the best and putting 100% in, because most times you wake up feeling like crap. You don't want to do nothing at all. You just want to sit there in a depressed mind state and use that, and that handicaps you. It handicaps you because you could be doing so much more because you actually did wake up. You see what I'm saying? And it's people that look forward to you, producing good deeds. It's people that look forward to you doing good things. And we just always have to produce that at all times, though it seems hard because life just happens, and it's unfortunate to those things that do happen, but we can't stop that. You just got to push through that. Angela, like you said, you was doing whatever you needed to do to get those jobs and to keep working. But while you was putting the work in, you got blessed. Heather, like you got multiple kids and you trying to put your work in and you digging into your word and you still battling, issues with trust and consistency of what you're doing. But at the same time, you still breathing right now. It could be a lot worse. I mean, you could be pumped up to some machine right now with no limbs or, any type of thing. You know what I'm saying? But the fact that you got the ability to sit here in this stream lets me know that, God is real. And this podcast is a true example of, you can do anything you want to do. And like I said, my whole agenda is just to bring people together to bridge the gap between race and culture and just gain understanding on what it is we can do as human beings to move us forward as a whole. And, that's the main point and the main objective of what I'm doing. Heather, I don't know you at all. It's my first time ever seeing you in my life. And now you coming on here and you may have learned something and gained something from being on here. But the simple fact that you came on here, is a blessing to me by itself because, you didn't have to. And you came on here to share your story. And you came on here to give, insight to people who may be going through similar things that you're going through, especially trust issues. It's a real thing. We do have trust issues as human beings. But I'm also saying that with those trust issues, we do have to learn to let those go because it's really not as serious as we really think. Because at the end of the day, humans lie. They will lie. And you can't put no faith in no human being. So when you say that, you got to also look at yourself and say, how much have I lied? Or how much have I held back from somebody? Or how much 100% did I put into something? Like a kid may be asking for something and you say, you know what, I ain't got it right now. But then they see you come in the house with some type of new outfit or something for you. And they look like, well, I just asked you for XYZ. Why you didn't get that for me? You didn't sacrifice your little outfit for my little happiness, those type of things. It may not be exactly what we going through personally, but who's to say that ain't they level? That could be their level if they looking at it like, hey man, like you could have did more. I don't ever want to be in a situation with my child or anybody looking at me like, man, you could have did more. I want to do exactly um enough and beyond that, in a shadow of a doubt that I was there and I was helping out. You know what I mean? Y'all can feel free to jump in at any time and chime in. But I know for a fact that this message right here is going to change some lives. And it's already changing lives because, it's two women right here that's been, hip to some word. Not only that, is that before coming on here, you know, I'm praying. And then Heather, like I said, I never met you. And then here you are talking deep in word. So you already in the right place. I just came on here. And so now you know that your head is going to be held extremely high because you locked in and God got you no matter what. Angela, you've been blessed with a husband to completely hold you down in your household. And though both of you all are married, um, it ain't the easiest thing. It's not. But the beauty of it is the follow through and the stick through of being in it to grow and develop together, not separate, together. You see what I'm saying? That's the key and the message in it all. And I love my wife to death, you know, and she's very helpful in putting this together. She put it all together, as a matter of fact. So I applaud her for that. Let that be known that I definitely applaud her for putting this together and holding this situation down and not giving up on it, because she could have. I could have just been stuck here free balling the show, but she's very important to this particular show and the rest of the shows moving forward. So I can applaud her and appreciate her for that. And moving forward, um, like I said, I just want people to know that, yeah, I'm just here to try to give a positive message, outlook, and different views on things. I call this I just think different because, that's just something I've been doing all my life, kind of thinking different and kind of outside the box, having a different mindset on things. I don't have all the answers. I'm not right all the time. I'm just right sometimes, you know? And if I'm wrong, let me know I'm wrong so we can do right. We don't have to dwell on what I'm doing wrong. We can just simply modify and we can get the best result. That's what it's about. We can just learn from what's going on, take the information and move forward. Like we don't have to argue, fight, and do any of that thing. But it happens. It definitely happens. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up the floor for y'all. If any you got any questions or anything you guys want to add, definitely just share that. And then after that, I'm gonna lead us in a prayer and we go get out of here.
I think the only thing I have to add is something where I believe that, like I said before, I think a lot of times we are brought into things to help other people out. So that's one of the reasons why I came on here, was just to, I know that there's other people going through circumstances kind of like that I'm going through, or that I should say we're going through as a couple. And so to help other people understand that you're not alone. And when I first found out about all the stuff that I found out about, the place I went to was Strong Prison Wives, and I went to Row and people like that, and I was like, okay, how do you do this? Like, if it wasn't for my walk with God, but also if it wasn't for me getting on the internet and saying, okay, I have no clue what I'm dealing with here. I need to talk to people that are on different places. They taught me and have been there for me, and they don't judge you, which is amazing, because when you go through this, you have no clue what the heck you're going to go through, especially when you've never been through it, and all of a sudden you get on these things, and a lot of people are like, well, this is what I did, or this is how I got through this stage, or this is what I did. And it helps a lot because it makes you realize that there's people out there that have gone through the same thing that you're going through.
Definitely. And I appreciate you for coming on.
Um, I can attest what Heather said. Just like we were saying earlier, just believing and trusting in God, even no matter what your situation looks like. And just keeping the hope, especially when it comes to your children, and believing even if you have one child. I mean, you're only one parent that you can do it. Um, and you can hold it down, and like you were saying, James, not to be sitting there in a pity, because we all have circumstances, we all, but the thing is, like Heather said, we can, to get through them, and like if we move forward with everything. So I just say the for everyone to just continue to keep their head up no matter what the situation is, what circumstances, that God to get us through it. And God didn't put us there if he didn't know we can get through it. And if he know we're strong enough to get through it, we'll get through these things if we just trust and believe in him, because we have to know that this battle don't belong to him, but it don't belong to us, but it belongs to him. And that we are not here for ourselves. So I believe that um everyone has an opportunity to reach somebody. And like I said, Heather, your story was just, amazing, still amazing in itself, because let me tell you, I applaud you. You said 8 kids. I was fussing about two. And so I'm telling you, I was fussing about two. And so when I even see women that has more kids than me holding it down, knowing that their husband is incarcerated, knowing that your husband is incarcerated, and you're still holding it down, you are just a living testimony within yourself. So I mean, and trust and believe. I know it hard because having kids is a whole nother ball game. But to know that no matter what, you still standing and you're like, I can do this. Let me tell you this. You said he had 3 years. That's gonna go back so fast. Because I'm gonna tell you, for my kids being in kindergarten, first grade and second grade, and it's 7 years from now, they 17. I didn't think it would go that fast. So I know it can be so difficult, especially the communication, and especially when they have had, a good father in their life, the communication, and sometimes they go through it. I'm gonna tell you, I'm a big firm believer, James. At the end of the day, we can't do everything ourselves, but for me, I'm a big thing when it comes to for kids in situations like this, therapy. I'm gonna be honest because and I'm just saying the community that I grew up with, live with, we shun therapy. But I think when it comes to any traumatic situations, circumstances, we can get it spiritually, but it's okay to get it naturally too, because sometimes we need that outlet. Sometimes it's certain things you don't want to tell your friends. It's some things you don't want to tell certain people, but you need that outlet to be able to say, look, I need to talk to somebody. And sometimes because your kids won't even, talk about it. So it's something that they need to let out. And it that drives them to and leads them to a different path. And they still have a choice if they get the help they need. And sometimes we feel as if because they look like they all right, they okay, that they don't need. No, they react in different ways. So I have seen where circumstances where kids act out in different ways and ways that we don't even understand. But to get them the proper help they need along the way, instead of blocking it out and saying, oh, they'll be okay, I think that will set them up for a different path than us ourselves probably would have, could have, I don't know, but could have made it better, you know, if they really get the help that they need. Because sometimes, and I'm not even only talking about the kids. I'm talking about even the people incarcerated. Sometimes when they get out, they don't even go get the help they need to understand both parties. And I'm a firm believer when it comes to that. And I was hoping I had got to that point where, even though I'm not with the kids father, where they could have set a foundation and be able to go to get the help, so we all could be on one accord and understand, so they could have that close bond. But we never got to that point. But that's okay. Look, that is totally okay. But I just think that, and I don't know if they do. I know they give them the choice to do it, I think. But I think that they need counseling after that, because even being incarcerated is like you were stating, traumatic situation. We don't know. That's a whole. I got friends that work in a corrections. That's a whole nother life, another life we don't even know about. You know, it's like being, and I don't know. It's like a dog being locked up in a cage. If you ain't never been there, you don't know what it's like. So that's a traumatic. That's trauma. When the kid is absent of a parent, that's trauma. So I just think that in the midst of that kids need to come together. They should just have programs or set up things. And if they don't have it, I strongly believe that they should, to bring families together to be able to have that, so everybody will have a better understanding of the whole situation, because it's always one side. I feel this way, you feel this way, we all feel this type of way, but none of us understand each other. And if we can come to a ground, we'll never understand or know what they went through because they were incarcerated. I never understand if I never been there. But how can we come to an understanding to be able to love each other even after this experience? You see? So yeah, I just, and I think I applaud you for even bringing this to the table, because it does. It's a lot of people out here that need to understand that they're not alone. They're not by themselves. They haven't the only one that's been through this. It's okay, because let me tell you, sometimes kids, I noticed that when their parent is incarcerated, they don't even want to tell their friends and stuff, or family. Like they don't want to tell. They talking to their friends. They don't want to tell their friends that their parent is incarcerated. It's like embarrassing to them. And that is like, why can't they say that why can't they say that, yeah, my parent is in prison, my parent is in jail, but they don't say that because they don't feel comfortable with talking or telling each other. And I've noticed that during the years when my kids dealt with it, they attract those type of friends. It's weird. Attract those same friends that's going through what they went, that the same thing that they going through. And I be like, oh my God, like it's like the same little circle. So these is all like kind of kids that has experienced brokenness, but don't know how to talk or even express with each other how they really feel.
Yeah, that's real powerful. That's a big thing. And it's just all about coming together and, being able to be free. When you sit in front of a therapist, you able to be free and open up and talk to somebody. Just the outlet, like I said earlier, man. We just all want to be heard as human beings. We just want people to
Yeah,
understand, what's going on. And for somebody to say, I get it. I get
yeah,
it. I feel you, I get it. And I'm going through it too. But the more people that's going through, what you're going through, you feel a little bit more comfortable. Like, okay, you're not alone. Nobody wants to be alone, man. And it's a lot of people
hmm
alone, and we feel alone all the time. So
yeah,
when we get that vibe where other people can relate, it makes it more better and more comfortable. And essentially, that's what people want. I really strongly believe like no human being is really bad. We don't really want to do bad things, because the
hmm
bad things that we doing, would you want somebody to do that to your grandma? I using that as an example all the time. Like, would you want somebody to do that to your grandma? Would you want somebody to do that to your kids, your loved one? Or would you want somebody to do that to something that you care about? So, why carry those things out to do it to somebody else? As long as you can keep that and ground that, we all be all right. But it take all of us together, really take a true village, and we are the ones in those village, and we just gotta look after each other and be held accountable for our actions, as well as hold the next person accountable for their actions, and not lead them astray
hmm
by saying you grown, you should have known better, because we don't. I'm supposed to know better, because I'm only going by what I was shown. So if I
hmm
wasn't shown good, how am I supposed to know better? Like, show me something different. Only way you can
hmm
show somebody something is physically by showing them by what? An action. So you have to lead that action.
hmm
So I appreciate y'all for coming on here.
hmm
I just think different podcasts. I'm gonna lead this in the prayer here, and then, like I said, we go get out of here until next time.
hmm
God, I thank you for allowing us to have this podcast. I thank you for allowing me to be able to be a voice to the people and give people an outlet to come over here and speak about their situations. I thank you for allowing me to speak powerful words into existence. And I thank you for allowing me to be receptive to hear the things that I needed to hear from me for some things that I did not know. I ask that you would bless and touch all of the people that was on this podcast tonight, as well as their loved ones and their family members and their ones that may be in jail or not in jail. I ask that you would just strengthen the core of all of their families and embrace them and soften their hearts for those who don't know you, God. I ask that you would just strengthen all of our households and strengthen all of the ears of the listeners who may hear my voice in this podcast or see this podcast visually, God. I just ask that you would just allow your will to be done over our lives. And I ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
All right. Thank y'all for attending.
All right.
And I'll see y'all next time.
See you.
Bye bye.